In fresh updates, we have 6 explosions reported on Iran's Qeshm Island, which is a strategic military zone in the region. Now, the blasts are also coming amid reports that Trump has ordered strikes on Iran in what officials are describing as a proportional response. Situation is, of course, rapidly developing with regional security now on high alert. Manan, what's your take on this, on the resurgence of exchange of gunfire, with US also now reportedly ordering a proportionate response to Iran?
Definitively, what I would say here is that, a kind of an escalation has once again has been initiated in the entire scenario. In the post-Operation Epic warfare, which is going on in West Asia between Iran, US, and the Iran triumvirate. What I personally feel is that it's a kind of a tit for tat game or a pride game if we look into it through the prism of foreign policy and international relations. What happens is that you fire a missile, you send a kamikaze drone, and the other side, the antagonist, will also come up with it, and it will keep in its mind that there should be no escalation or there should be no aggrandizement of the response from their side, so that it does not escalate or conflagrate into a larger Armageddon. So, it's a kind of a tit for tat game, which is very blindly and passively and as a routinized ritual. It has been once again reinitiated there. But what is very dismally, it should be dismally realized that President Trump has always been saying, yesterday also repeatedly he has tweeted, and the same noise has been made by some of his lower functionaries, that a deal is always on the offing, and within a couple of days, that is on Monday evening, he said that within a couple of days negotiations are going on, and definitively a deal would come which would end the war in West Asia. But I personally feel that what Iran has done is that it has really blocked the complete energy choke point of Hormuz, the Strait of Hormuz. And we are already very worried in India because things are taking place. Pakistan has already clambered down. What I mean is that it is already stopped. It has become dysfunctional. But India being a great power, and we being much more powerful, and we having more access to more resources, but still at this particular juncture, we are looking at a scenario that if Iran does not open up the Hormuz Strait, then the energy situation would worsen all across the world, especially in Asia and other places too. So I personally feel, and apart from that, I'll complete my sentence. I would feel that the manner in which Iran was bombed yesterday very heavily and mercilessly and in a kind of a barbaric manner by the Houthis and by the Iranians, that kind of a thing once again brings to the fore the idea that the axis of resistance is all about a lot of nefarious non-state actorhood. What I mean is that they are not nations, they are not countries which are militating against Israel or which are militating against America. But Iran's instrument of foreign policy has been since 1979 a terror apparatus and not supporting. They themselves are also degenerating into the stature of a non-state actor. This is what I see, despite even our New Delhi denomination making overtures about peace and negotiations. I support the government, but still the manner in which things are going on in a very immature-ish manner, or what do you call it, in a very unstable manner, really cocks a snook at the efforts which are going on for negotiations and peace. And
All right.
I personally feel so many things are happening. But Hormuz happens to be the key. Americans have to take a step to really clean up Iran so that Hormuz can be cleared and the rest of the world can feel easy. At least people can come out of the terror of Yom Kippur, which occurred in 1971. This is how I feel about it.
All right, sure. Manan, thanks for your comments. I request you all to stay on now. Iran has also reportedly escalated tension in the Gulf region by launching ballistic missiles. Now, according to Iranian sources, the strikes are said to have targeted the United States 5th Fleet headquarters in Bahrain. Ambassador Fabia, you've been waiting with us. We've seen since more than 100 days now, when the war has started, Iran has continuously targeted the US bases in the Gulf countries. How stable are those bases in your assessment as of now, and is US in a position to reconstruct them?
US is not in a position to protect the GCC countries where US has a military presence. And in fact, the GCC countries are taking note of the fact that the protection which US has given, military protection, to Israel by way of Iron Dome and other means, US has not extended to the GCC countries. And they have realized that relying on American military bases for their protection is not the best policy. And as regards the previous speaker who said a few things about Iran, well, let me make it very clear. The Strait of Hormuz, there was no problem till the 28th of February. It's only when Israel and America attacked the problems arose. And so it is a creation of Israel and America. Next point, and I'm going to finish with that. The Obama Accord of 2015 was good enough to prevent Iran from making a nuclear bomb. The candidate Trump, he sort of, condemned that attack because he was falling in popular support. And then he walked out of it. So once again, the nuclear problem is something which Trump created. So let us see let him sort of sleep on the bed he made. But, problem is that it's ruination, not only for him, but also for the rest of the world.
Right. Absolutely. Problem for the rest of the world as well. In fact, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has also issued a strong warning to the United States, of course, following unconfirmed reports of an American drone being downed over the Jam city in southern Iran. Araghchi, in a post on X, said, despite its defeats on the battlefield, the US opted to test our determination. Our powerful armed forces will leave no attack or threat unanswered. Leave our region if you want to be safe. History of the Persian Gulf has many chapters on dire fates of intruding outsiders. Lieutenant General, how much would you agree with the statement of Iran, and what do you make of Iran under Mustafa Khamenei?
Firstly, I would agree with the ambassador. He's absolutely right that till the 28th of Feb, Strait of Hormuz was open, and that the JCPOC had enough safety measures to regulate where Iran was heading for. Notwithstanding that, since the kind of sanctions that continued on Iran since 1979, and Iran is by per se a very old civilization. The geographical layout of Iran is such that having boots on ground is virtually impossible unless actually going for committing a harakiri by launching troops on Iran. So, and Iran per se, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps is in complete control. Invariably it would appear that if in the first 24 hours the leadership was to go and things have been destroyed, so much of destruction caused in Iran, a nation would collapse. It hasn't happened. They all seem to have gone and stood under the flag. The entire leadership has motivated the Iranian population. The Iranian population morale is high. The IRGC is in full control of what's going on. Should they not be listening to IRGC, I'm sure they lose their life. Under such circumstances, with the kind of support they are also getting from other countries and primarily from China, because there is a train access which comes from Shanghai to Tehran. So logistically, they've been sustained from China. And there's no denying the fact that 90% of the oil of Iran, which goes to China, because they have a deal of $400 billion between the two of them, though the Strait of Hormuz, the exit of all the energy would be difficult. But yes, Iran itself is also facing crisis because Iran's exports are 90% oil and 60% revenue comes from that oil, which now seems to be blocked. So the Strait of Hormuz being blocked by, super blocked by United States of America. Of course, the access to the Strait of Hormuz being almost controlled by Iran. All this leads to energy prices the world over. Energy prices, gas, fertilizers, food, everything. So obviously there is a lot which Iran is negotiating, wanting to negotiate, use the Strait of Hormuz as a weapon. And the weaponizing the Strait of Hormuz has now led to the crisis. Hopefully, I think good sense prevail. Otherwise, we are all heading for real tough times ahead.
Absolutely, right. In fact, another update that we have says, as per reports, the US has launched the third round of